There's a pilot in the plane, which I thought was like how they were going to get through the fissure and then back. But he is just kind of like, hey, stole my plane! And then maybe he flies.
Oh, and I'm the racist one.
I don't even think he's Italian, but he's not Australian. That's all I know.
Well, he lives in Sicily, so surely.
Maybe he is then.
I just don't think he's the stereotypical
It's a bowl of pasta.
He's dressed as Mario.
Hey, mama! What are you doing in my blender? And then plate of hot spaghetti steaming in the plane. Ready the parmesan in my plane. That's racist.
What if that's the biggest laugh of this review? Then something's wrong with us.
Oh, no. Like terrible Italian racist.
Hey, mama!
So bad. After the tuk-tuk scene, we get Antonio Banderas. That wasn't racist.
You can't stop.
I'm just saying his name how you're supposed to say it. You say it.
Antonio Banderas. I don't want to.
Antonio Banderas.
What, are you going to get a fucking Zorro mask out and whip an A, B?
Castanets. Antonio Banderas. That looks pretty good.
Little Rob. Little Rob.
A little tiny Rob.
No. Down you go, Rob. You got a bottle opener over there?
I do.
Oh, just crack me, mate.
What? What was that funny?
It's just what beer drinking fellas say to each other.
Us manly.
Crack me, mate.
Alpha man.
Crack me, mate.
So we open with the Paramount logo fading into not the French Alps but blackness, followed by the Lucasfilm logo. I don't know if there was some like contractual obligation to have both logos in that order and they couldn't do the fade out, whether Mangold just forgot about it. Do you think it was an artistic choice or some like corporate thing where they're like, we can't fade the Paramount logo out?
Unless they were subverting expectations again.
Ooh, well my expectations were subverted.
And they were disappointed because I even thought to myself
When we started,
because we theorised that it was going to be the Disney castle was going to like fade into something,
fascinating.
and then that didn't, and then the Paramount logo came up, and I was like, well, here we go, and then just went to the Lucas, but then I guess the Lucas
thing goes to the lock.
into the lock,
Yeah.
which isn't quite as cool.
No.
It's just a rectangle, whereas the Paramount logo is very definitive.
Could be anything. Could be a mountain.
Yeah.
Could be a groundhog.
Could be a picture of a mountain on a gong. Could have been one of the, like, they're in France, aren't they? One of the French Alps or something? I don't know about the Alps or where they are. There were mountains.
It could have been a turret of where, like, I don't know, like, could have been...
Yeah.
Anything.
I don't know.
Like a jelly thing on the table.
His sack might have been a point, I don't know.
That would have been terrible.
I didn't write the film. I just said I was a writer.
So we cut to, what, France, 1944? End of the war. This is like 5 years after Crusade? Something like that? 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44.
Tracks.
6 years. There we go. World War II. It's like D-Day. I really like this setting. This is classic indie setting. This is like all the golden moments of the franchise have been World War II and Nazis, and it makes sense that James Mangold wanted to revisit this moment. We're introduced to the Nazis and the castle, and we get Harrison Ford reveal. What do we think about the de-aging? Did it work for you guys? Were you immersed?
Fine.
It worked. There are points where it clearly is CGI, and you can tell that it's bad, but fuck it, it really worked, and I'm just so glad we get another young Indiana Jones, like prime Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Action sequence, and it's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah. I'm always the type of guy that's deconstructing everything, and I think for a lot of people that ruins the magic. Like even when I watch like Last Crusade in the tank scene, like my brain is always like, that's a stunt double, that's Harrison Ford, that's a stunt double, that's Harrison Ford. So I was like, my brain was just like trying to figure out like the edges and where it was and the technology and everything the first time I think, but I watched it and I think I can I can be immersed and I can enjoy the moment and the action and look past the special effects. I can do that.
I think it's hard not to kind of be like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see what they've done there, because it's such a jarring. I mean, Harrison Ford's like what, 80 something?
Yeah.
So like, it's not like it's just he's de-aged like 10 years or so.
No.
Just give it a few wrinkles. Like this is an entirely
They've taken off half his
generational.
life.
Yeah, like he's young again. Like this is classic. The first 3 movies. Again.
Yeah, it's better than it's ever been in any other movie or anything. It was like, yeah, they got old like archival stuff from Lucasfilm. They used an AI to like track all like images of his face from everything and then like compile it in, and then they smooth it out and stuff.
I look at it this way, like a lot of people are crapping on this and like we are never going to get another, you know, in his prime Harrison Ford Indiana Jones ever again. This is the closest we're going to ever get. It looks good, not flawless, but very very good.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'd watch a whole movie of that. I would watch if they made another. If they said an Indiana Jones movie, like, you know, in where, you know, between Crusade and onwards, I'd watch it. I'd watch it. I'd be all for that.
That's fair. That's fair. Indy is all captured here. They take him and they begin to hang him, and then a bomb like drops through the roof as they're about to hang him, like crashes through the floor and brings a carpet with it. And it explodes, and everything explodes. And then he's like hanging by his neck, and the noose breaks, and he's swinging around and stuff. And I don't know, I kind of loved it. I was kind of like,
that.
you know what? Yeah, it felt Indy-esque.
Because one of the things I love about indie action films is always like, and then there's this, and then there's this, and then it never seems to end, like the perils of like what he's going through. Because I just watched, obviously I just watched the whole series leading up to this, and Dad, who's never seen an Indiana Jones film really, sat down and watched Temple of Doom. Like that, I just happened to have it on, he came down and have his lunch, and he ended up watching the whole film.
True.
And when it got to the end, when it was like the mine car, and then the water, and then they stuck out in the cliff, and then the bridge, then I was like, what more can he take? And that felt like this, like in a more condensed version. Where I was like, you know, and then there's this, and you know, he's never out of any kind of
exactly.
trouble.
Everything he does to get himself out, he puts himself further.
Yeah, it's always piling on more danger.
He was like, 10% out of his abilities, and like just struggling through the situation.
Yeah.
He gets out, he gets in a car, German officers get in, he's like pretending to be the driver. That was funny, I loved it. The car chase is really, that first initial like run down to the train is where I kind of sold for me, which is in like the first 5 minutes or something. But I was like, alright, I'm in.
You went as a cynical old bastard, right? No, I'm not gonna let this. Oh fuck, they've got me!
Look, it was an exciting action sequence. Some of it was harsh digital, but some of it was like live action motorbikes and jumps.
Yeah.
Like, I guess movies now just are like very digital. I don't think they could make a classic like you look at the train sequence from Last Crusade and it looks vastly different. It's like bright light. I think the darkness in the nighttime actually helped with the special effects.
Definitely.
And the face as well.
Definitely.
So maybe that was a conscious decision. They're like,
I'd say it would be.
We'll make everything really
I'm
dark.
surprised it wasn't raining.
We've never seen Indy in the rain, have we? Never seen
Apart
the
from
snow or the
in
rain.
the end when he's in the plane.
Yeah, but he's not actually in. Yeah, it's
But
more. It's
he's
more.
not in
It's
the
more
rain.
Elena that's in.
No, surely he's in the rain somewhere, right?
I don't think he's ever rained on.
Yeah, he is at the opening of Last Crusade when they transition from young Indy to
In the boat.
on the boat.
On the boat.
Is it
he's
rain
in the
though,
rain
or
there.
is that just splash from?
I think it's both.
I think it's rain.
I think they're in a storm.
But yes, he's never been in the snow. Although I read The Fate of Atlantis the other night, the comic, and he's in the snow in that.
Sure.
And I actually thought, damn, this would look cool in like live action. Never happened though, did it?
Never happened. So yeah, they race down to the train. I mean, the train sequence, it's fun. I like it. Inside of the train, that was all like a real set, built at like Pinewood Studios. What do we think of, what's his mate here? Old mate?
Basil Shaw.
Yeah, Basil Shaw. What do we think about Basil Shaw?
I like him.
He's fine. I think he serves the purpose
Yeah.
really well.
There's some criticisms I've seen where they say that out of the blue he's got this friend that we've never heard of before in the old films. But this is set in 1944. The last time we saw Indy in the old times was 1938. A lot can happen in 6 years, and he could easily find a best friend in 6 years' time. where they're in wartime zones and they'd have a lot of close time together, and like go through a lot of things together. So I totally bought it.
And I think if the other movies are anything to go by, it's very clear that Indy just picks up any fucking guy.
Exactly.
Has multiple.
There's that too.
The guy gets shot. The guy gets shot in Temple. Yeah.
Like I just assumed that Indy just had like a slew of like infinite friends in like every continent that have been on endless adventures with him, and I didn't think that like in every movie he needed to sit down and list every friend that he has to the audience.
It's like the Doctor from Doctor Who. Like he doesn't sit down and go, I had all these companions all these years, but now you're here. So I'll just...
Welcome to the TARDIS. Here's all the companions I've killed. Here's the ones who have left because they were traumatized. Here's the ones that left on good terms.
Exactly.
I don't get why people are shitting on this particular thing with Basil, because it's the same thing, not just in Indiana Jones, in any kind of like episodic adventure action series, like whether it's James Bond or John Wick or whatever, they're always springing up new allies that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
And they're always like, oh yeah, that works. For some reason, this one, no, it's no good. I'm like, what's the difference?
We get Mads Mikkelsen here on the train as, what's his name? Jürgen
Voller.
Jürgen Voller. I really like Mads, and I think that he is a great Indy villain.
I think he's my favourite.
He's my favourite too.
Fascinating.
Because I think, I thought about this, actually we talked about this after we talked about this after we got out. I mean, I actually really like all the Indy villains. Like there's one note as many of them are.
Can we rank them all?
I think Voller is my favourite. I think Voller's there, then probably Belloc, Donovan, Molaram, Otis Spell.
Mine's the same, switched Belloc with Donovan.
That's true.
What about you?
I, maybe Belloc, and then, what's his name? Jürgen Voller?
Jürgen Voller.
I'm just going to refer to him as Mads for the rest of the
Please.
movie. Otherwise, I'm going to be like, what's his name? Jürgen Voller? It'll be like an hour.
I bet it will be like, yeah, and then Voller said this, and you'll be like, who?
I'll probably go Belloc, Mads, maybe Molaram, and then Donovan, and then obviously
Sparko.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Mads was great. He was given enough screen time. We have lots of scenes with him just like by himself with like reporters, and we get to know him. I think there's not a whole lot of like.
I mean, none of the Indy villains have, like we were talking about it before, none of the Indy villains have any extensive character development or backstory or whatever.
No, there's no backstory at all. Like Belloc is a rival of Indy previous to the film.
And that's all we know. But literally all of them, because like, again, like we know there's a few people who've been like criticising Voller, Mads, for being, having no imagination with his story and like completely two-dimensional. What Indy villains are more than being two-dimensional? They're all just bad guys who want the thing. That's all they are. And if anything, Mads has more development because he's actually got more motivation.
Yeah.
Because not just I want the thing, he has this whole plot about assassinating Hitler and wanting to take over the war and then then having the New World Order. The others, Belloc, Donovan, Molaram, Spalko, all they want is just the treasure for the value of it.
I also feel that his rise, like how he got there, is more in depth as well. Like you know, he was a physicist for the moon landing and like all that kind of thing. So like he had all this kind of like infiltrating to get there.
Yeah.
Like he was working with the CIA for fuck's sake.
And that's all pulled from real life. Operation Paperclip after World War II, America went and grabbed a whole bunch of German scientists for NASA because like the V2 rocket was super advanced in World War II, and like Germans were like, they were ahead of the game with like technology and like engines and mechanics and stuff. They just didn't have like the manpower or like the resources to take on the entire of the world and win the war. So yeah, Operation Paperclip was a real thing, and there's photos of like NASA and like people in NASA have like Nazi dueling scars and were Nazis and stuff, and the American government was like, you get a free pass, just help us get to the moon. And that's what Mads' character is, and I think all that works, and he's going back in time to kill Hitler so he can then win the war because Hitler lost. And he sees where Hitler went wrong, so he wants to rectify it. That's kind of interesting.
And I think that's cool.
I think
that's good.
I think it makes him really frightening, more so than the other villains. Like Molaram was scary because of the way he looked, and you would literally see him rip a person's heart out of the chest.
It's pretty frightening.
But like Belloc, Donovan, and Spalko aren't really frightening. They're just kind of there along as a antagnist for Indy. Like they never seem like, oh, that guy's terrifying.
They're frightening when they die.
Yeah, they're frightening when they die.
Lloyd.
Or like their plot is never something that we're like, oh, that actually would be kind of scary. Mads' whole storyline, where he's like, you know, I've seen all the mistakes that Hitler's done and everything like that. I know how to, like, that's a genuine threat to everyone, not just to Indy's little world of archaeology, but to the entire planet.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why Mads Voller is...
Yeah, we're all doing it.
Jürgen Voller
is my favourite.
That's fair.
But I always have a soft spot, obviously, for Belloc and Donovan.
Yeah, I think Belloc had like more depth. He wasn't just evil guy. He was like in love with Marion, and he was kind of a good guy. He just wanted the ark because he was an archaeologist. But Mads just has like a certain charisma and energy, and when he's on the screen, and even if he's not doing anything particularly interesting or saying anything particularly interesting, and I'm just like, I'm in. It's Mads. He's saying lines.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a massive draw that it's Mads Mikkelsen.
If it was anybody else, it wouldn't, be anywhere near as good.
Yeah. Would work if it was just Tom Arnold or someone though. Like, imagine that.
What's Tom Arnold?
One thing.
You don't know Tom Arnold?
Who's Tom Arnold?
Oh, let's not go there.
Alright.
One thing with Mads is that even when
Put a picture of Tom Arnold right here. That's Tom Arnold.
It was like JFK or something.
Don't make me look like a fool now.
Forrest Whitaker.
One thing with Mads is that even when he's in a bad movie, I'm not saying this is a bad movie, I love this movie, but even when he's in a bad movie with a bad script, he always gives 100% to his performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Indy gets out of his gear here. There's a lot of shenanigans. He gets into the classic Indy gears, going back and forth with Nazis. Well, there's like a spear of Christ that's fake, and then Mads is
the Lance of Langathair, whatever it's called.
Longinus. It's from The Spirit of Destiny, the video game.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Interesting. They get on top of the train, and the machine gun starts shooting at the train. There's a fight on the train. Whole lot of training stuff going on. A lot of people said this movie, the action scenes could have been cut down.
I love them.
This action scene here, it does go for like half as long as the entire of like Temple of Doom. It's like 25 minutes, and Temple of Doom is an hour. But I don't know about this first scene, but was there any moments where you guys thought it could have been trimmed down?
Absolutely. No. There is no single, because we've all collectively seen it 3 times each now.
I've seen it 3.5.
3.5?
I rocked up at work an hour early the other day. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? I didn't start yet. I'm like, I'm gonna go watch an hour of Indy. Went and looked at all the cinemas, found like an interesting film. I'm like, I'm in. And it was awesome.
So you just confessed on camera to watching half the movie for free.
Yeah.
That's how Julia wasn't watching this.
I'm sure she would have been alright with it. I'll give you fucking $10, Julia. No one was in the cinema, it was empty anyway.
Everyone's gonna be like, who's this Julia? She's our boss, to be clear.
She's out. We work at a cinema. For context, we work at a cinema.
Oh, let's stay out of this conversation.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's not drag our company into these reviews.
But yes, we've seen it 3 times, and where are we going with this?
I think the action sequences can't be trimmed down. This prologue, okay. I don't know, you probably still don't agree with me. This is my favourite opening to an indie movie.
Wow, more than Raiders?
More than Raiders.
More than Raiders?
More than Raiders. Raiders is... Raiders is more iconic, as we say, but this I find is just cooler. I think this is just... I don't know, like this is just a self-contained... Yeah, like you said, it's 20-25 minutes, so it's like... It's an episode of a TV show, for Christ's sake. Like this is... You could just end it there.
It's a mini movie.
Yeah, you could start it and end it, give it the title, and then just play some credits at the end, and that would work as a TV show of Indiana Jones.
It is kind of open and closed ended.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah, we complained in our Crystal Skull review that that movie, the first hour is really good, then we get to the second half, and it scoots along too fast and just rolls from one action set piece into another with no real connective tissue. And this movie, it has a lot of connective tissue, and I like the tone and the pacing and the overall
I feel that even though this one is half an hour longer than pretty much every other Indiana Jones movie.
All the others are 2 hours.
Yeah, I think the longest one was Last Crusade. I think that was 2 hours 7.
Yeah.
Even with the extra 20 to 30 minutes more than the others, I think the pacing is still just as quick as the others. First time we watched it, Because, like, you know, at the cinemas now we have, like, the stupid cardboard straws that just drop up halfway through.
That goddamn sea turtle with a plastic straw up his nose had to ruin everything for everybody.
So I was taking, you know, two I was taking 2 straws, and I always like switch them when I think we're about halfway through the movie to not have a stupid soggy straw.
Yeah.
I switched mine through. I was like, yeah, we're about halfway. Switched it. 20 minutes later, the film ended. I was like, wow, that was 2.5 hours.
He let over. He's like, I thought we were only entering the 3rd act now.
Literally, I thought.
But we won't get there yet. We're not there yet.
We're not yet.
When Voller died, I'm like,
hey, we're not there yet.
We're not there. No, I don't have a problem with the length or the pacing, but I fucking like. I'll sit down and watch like The Sopranos or like Broadwalk Empire. Like, I like boring dramas, and I think for like a lot of kids with their like TikToks and their 15-second videos in the chart,
ADHD generation.
Yeah, I don't think this is resonating with what's below us, Gen Z. Is that?
Oh fuck, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I think if this is too long and boring for you, then that's fine. But it kind of feels like a relic of the past, like the other ones did, like an old school movie that were slower and more boring. But fucking that's fine.
Exactly, and most of the people I've talked to about this, who you know aren't fans of Indiana Jones and have never watched any of the others, you know, their constant criticism with it is like, oh, he's so old. Why would you want to watch a movie starring this old guy? Like, you know, oh, what's the point? You know. But it's like, that's exactly why.
That's
like,
the whole kind of point of it.
Yeah.
So we get the opening action sequence. I liked it. I was into it and I enjoyed it. The special effects for me were a constant thing on my mind, and it was hard for me to not look at that and be immersed. But I think that Mangold did a relatively good job at capturing that Spielbergian magic, which is uncapturable. Hard cut to what? New York, 1969. We get
shirtless Harrison Ford.
80-year-old shirtless Harrison Ford.
Still looking
great
good.
shape.
Apparently does not like the Beatles.
Yeah, I talked about in the Crystal Skull.
Turn it down!
He's banging on teenagers' fucking door with a baseball bat with his shirt like half up, yelling at them. It's fucking great. I talked in our Crystal Skull review about how Hound Dog just set the period of the 50s, like bang, and Magical Mystery Tour does that for the 60s. It's like the perfect song.
I was not expecting to hear. I love Magical Mystery Tour too, but after watching the trailer so much, it was Sympathy for the Devil. I was expecting that to be the song.
So was I, and I love the Beatles. I have like their faces permanently etched into my flesh. That's how much I love the Beatles. And I was like, oh, Magical Mystery, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. It was a nice little surprise. And I think for me, the Beatles resonate more with the 60s and the Rolling Stones.
Oh, for me too. I prefer the Beatles to the Stones. They're both great.
Stones are good, but they're not the Beatles.
They're not the Beatles.
Yeah.
And then Space Oddity by Bowie plays.
Yeah, as he's like buttering his toast.
Yeah, he's looking at his divorce papers.
So yeah, normally in Raiders, Indy's house was kind of bigger and more lavish. And then in Crystal Skull, it was even more bigger and more lavish. He'd kind of, become an old man. And here he's in this like dingy, gross apartment, and he's pouring like whiskey into his morning coffee. He's not at Marshall College anymore, which is like home and happiness and safety. He's at Hunter College, which is like, it doesn't feel home, it doesn't feel welcoming. He just like gives his his goodbye gift to like some hobo. He doesn't give a fuck. We see Indy here, and he's broken, and he's old, and he's like damaged, and like out of sync with time, and just like he's broken.
I also really like the juxtaposition between like when in Raiders when he's teaching, like all the girls are like really into like, and then in this one they're like falling asleep and like they're just talking, they're not even looking at him. But like I liked that kind of like.
It's that whole competition between archaeology, history, and then the space race, which is relevant at the time. And the astronauts Apollo 11 mission just got back, and they're all like, it's all the whole space craze.
No one gives a fuck about the past.
Yeah, and so you've literally got Indiana Jones there literally being a relic in society.
Yeah, it's
like
fucking...
he's literally become one of the things that he's been chasing all this time.
Yeah, it's great. It's telling like his story. It's saying something about his age and his position and where he is in life. And it's different. It's not where we've really seen him before. Yeah. It's fascinating. It's like one of them movies where they have a character that has like an arc and goes places and does things.
And like and anyone who says, oh, it's not the Indy that we grew up with. Well, yeah, he's 80 years old now. He's not a 40-year-old adventurer. And like anyone who goes through 4 decades of life, you change over time.
Absolutely.
And if he wasn't where he was now, I'd be like, well, that is not realistic. That, like, you know, he still has the quintessential Indy spark, and he feels like Indy when he's on the adventure. But he's at a different stage in his life, so of course he's not going to be the fun-loving guy we remember with Marion and Willie and...
Yeah. He's fucking... Yeah. I think Indy is supposed to be like 70 in the movie, but Harrison Ford's like 80.
Yeah.
What do we think of Harrison at 80 here? Is he Indy? Does he feel like Indy?
Absolutely.
Is he still Indy?
He does.
The guy's 20 years off 100.
He does feel like Indy, and I think that's... I mean, Harrison Ford, I think, will always feel like Indy.
Yeah, I think he is Indy.
I think Indiana Jones is Harrison Ford to a degree, which is cool. If anyone else is playing Indiana Jones, like let's say this is played by just some other random dude.
Well, for a long time, Chris Pratt was a rumoured one.
Well, even if it was an older guy, like the same story, like it wouldn't be Indiana
Christopher Walken.
Yeah, Chris Walken is Indiana Jones. That would be fucking atrocious, but I would watch
Anybody, you can say any name is Indiana Jones and it just doesn't sound right. De Niro, Pacino.
Any name. Viola Davis is Indiana Jones.
I complained in the Crystal Skull review that Indy seemed too overpowered. He was like swinging on whips and coming back and smashing.
They pulled it back,
Way pulled it back. And it's kind of sad, but that kind of is the movie. The movie kind of is sad and dark. And still fun and still adventure.
And it makes it more endearing to him. Like,
and he's like relatable.
He's back to being the human being that we, you know, like we were saying with the first 3, like he's not a superhero. He's still a regular guy who has regular guy strength, and you know he's not overly powered with anything. He's just a guy who's just trying to get from here to there as best he can.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree with like in Crystal Skull, like that moment when he's like jumping on the rafters and everything. I'm like, okay, like if he was 40, I'd buy it way more. I'd still be like, okay, he's kind of stretching a bit there.
Yeah.
But then he was like 60, I'm like, you know, really?
Yeah.
Here they've
toned it back. He doesn't swing on a whip once.
No. And
he barely uses the whip.
No, he gets it out and he cracks it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Might as well just chuck it in the trash as he walks out of the hotel.
And I think that works, and I think that's kind of sad, but I think that's how it's supposed to be, and I think that's better than it being silly schlock. Like,
actually, now that I think of that, maybe that was the point of that whole, like he got his whip out, like, get back, and then they all just pull guns on him, he's like, this just doesn't fucking work anymore.
Like, he's out of sync again.
Yeah, further proving, like that doesn't
And I also saw that scene as a reverse of the swordman fight, the swordman scene in Raiders.
Yeah.
When the guy pulls out his zing and then his the big, massive, like Aladdin-looking, like the sword, and then Indy just shoots him. He hits the reverse. He gets out his whip and he's like has a big display, and then they'll just put the guns like, oh.
I always find that scene. I thought about it the second I watched it, and now I kind of I was like, yeah, why? Like when they'll pull the guns on him and he ducks, and I just keep shooting forward. It's like, oh, he's ducked, but I'm still shooting.
And then they don't continue to shoot him after that. It's like, well, he's under the table.
But they continue shooting for ages. It's like,
I think it would have worked better if they didn't actually shoot. If he just ducked under, or is that more pathetic?
That's pathetic.
Yeah.
But then
he just slips over.
He's broken his hip, you have to call an ambulance to wheel him out.
No, old man Harrison jokes. That's offensive.
We say that for Crystal Skull.
What do we think about Helen Shaw?
Loved her.
Yeah, true.
She was great.
I didn't hate her, and I wasn't annoyed by her, and I think I did like her, and I think she was a good character. She doesn't rate next to Sulla or Short Round or Henry Sr., obviously, but I wasn't annoyed by her, and I didn't hate her. And there were moments where she had charisma and spark, and her back and forth with Indy. It was enjoyable. I think she was a good character.
I think she was a perfect Indy villain, Indy companion, where there obviously is affection there between the two of them, but they can't stop but bicker and take shots at each other. Feel very reminiscent of Indy with Marion, Indy with Short Round, very much so Indy with his father, where
Indy's his father now.
Yeah, where they never stop taking shots at each other, and that felt like this, but you could still see it was, there is still that connection between them.
Yeah, I was worried about her going in. She plays L3 in Solo, and she was cast off
my favourite Star Wars character.
So yeah, I was worried about her. She was cast off of Fleabag. Have any of you guys seen that?
No.
I've only just started watching Fleabag.
Yeah, Mangold's seen Fleabag, and he was like, she's the girl. I haven't seen Fleabag.
She's definitely, so I've only seen the first 3 episodes of Fleabag, so like, you know, there's only 12 episodes, I think. It's very short. So I've seen like, what, a fucking 1/8 of the show, I don't know.
Yeah, you've seen
a
like...
quarter of the show.
You've seen like the first act, I guess.
Yeah. She's really good at it. I wouldn't watch her in that show. There's just a lot of like, sex jokes, like just a lot of her wanting to, it's just her love life pretty much, and her life and her relationships with everyone. There's a lot of like crude humour, and like I wouldn't watch that and go, yep, Indiana Jones 5.
Yeah, true.
But I really liked Helena Shaw. I think she was a good character, and I can see how people construe her as like, oh, she's an arsehole, she's manipulative. That's the point, though.
Yeah.
She wanted to use him to be famous. And then kind of got attached to him over the course of the film.
She was kind of slimy and nefarious, and she was manipulating him and like using him, and like it was for like greed and money and wealth, which was interesting.
A lot of people are shitting on her, and I don't know if it's because it's like people are just not liking her because she's a female character. I think
it is. I think it's that.
I think if that was a male in that same role, there'd be no problem with it.
Because I've had so many people coming out of the cinemas at work and being like, oh, this feminist bitch and this, and I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
No, she didn't exude that kind of like vibe at all.
No, she didn't like undermine Indy or over the top. She wasn't like, girls do it better than push him over.
No, nothing like that.
He stumbles with his walking frame and he can't read like the in script or anything.
A big criticism with the film I've seen online lately, because I only kind of read the reviews after I saw it, is that she kind of takes center stage and Indy's like a side character. Have you read it?
Not at all.
I didn't feel that personally. I didn't feel that.
No.
She drives the story forward, yes, because she
gets it started.
She initiates the dial, like the discovery of the dial, and then but then it's like Indy.
And then flips because Indy's like, you need me.
Yeah, like he's trying to get it back from her, and he's like, no, this is. And the whole thing, like, with the father, I don't see that at all.
No.
Yeah,
she was fine. She was good. She was good.
What do we think of the Dial of Destiny as a MacGuffin?
I liked it.
In comparison to the other MacGuffins.
I mean, for me, nothing will beat the Ark of the Covenant or the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
But when I'm comparing like the Shankara stones and then Crystal Skull, I prefer the Dial of Destiny to both of those. I find them more interesting.
Yeah.
Like the Shankara stones are cool, and I like them because obviously of the movie they're in, and like I associate them with, like, Mola Ram and the temple and all that. But as an actual artifact, I think the Dial of Destiny, the Antikythera, I think they call it in the movie.
Yeah.
Antikythera?
Antikythera. That it's a much cool and more interesting.
And
and it's actually it's based on a real thing that Archimedes built.
Yeah, it was some like weird analog computer that could like measure when like the summer solstice and like these like weird Olympic games they had happened. It like measured time and stuff. It was a real thing, as most of these things have been. But yeah, and it also tied into the themes and like the tone of the film. It was about time and time travel, and this whole movie's about being out of sync with the period you live in and living in the past. Indy's living in the past, and Mads is living in the past, and it tied into that thematically. So I think it was clever.
The good thing about this as a MacGuffin as well is that it's, I mean, others are used, but this one's the first one where we kind of actually see like the full effects of it. Like, sure, they open the Ark of the Covenant, we see the face melting.
But that's not what the Ark does. It's just the thing it did.
Exactly. Same with the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Like
you see him drinking the water.
We see him drink it, and it's kind of like, this one full on just goes for it. Which we'll get to later on.
And the Crystal Skull is just the head, like.
So we see an alien do this to the camera, like, hello.
CGI.
That's pretty much it.
Talking about how the dial ties into the theme of the filming of time. I really picked up on it this time when I saw it today for the third time, how many times there is the sound of a ticking clock through the whole film.
Yeah, because there is right at the beginning.
Over the opening logo, it's got the ticking clock, and then when it transitions from 1944 to New York in the 60s, the very first thing you see is a ticking clock on the windowsill, which they did the exact same thing again when they transitioned back from the big finale to the epilogue, ticking clock again. And there's several times throughout where there's a ticking clock present, which I really like.
That's like movie making. You get the themes of the movie and then you tie in a sound effect to mirror that, to reinforce the themes of the movie. I really love
what he said.
I really love the Apollo 11 chase sequence. It was my favorite chase sequence. Helena Shaw is getting chased by like Mad's accomplices.
Yeah, Boyd Holbrook.
Yeah, CIA. Claver, yeah. And he gets on a horse and he runs through this parade and he like
down through the subway. Yeah.
And the parade and everything. It looked real and
visually it looks really cool.
Yeah, I know there were like digital background extensions and stuff, but I was looking at it and I was like actively trying to pick out like is this digital? Is this real?
Everything in the foreground's real. Like all the confetti and everything they did for real.
Yeah. There was some face replacement with the guy on the horse. Harrison did some of the horse work. There were shots from like, that's Harrison, that's all man Harrison on the horse. The one where the horse like rears up, that was a digital face replacement. But I mean,
it's not convincing though.
Yeah, I was actively sitting there trying to like pick out the digital backgrounds and the extensions and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? It looks pretty fucking real.
Yeah.
It looks pretty real. Yeah. I liked it. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was different. And yeah, whenever Harrison's on a horse, it's amazing. Raiders, there's horses. Temple, no horses. Crusade, horses. Crystal Skull, no horses?
Yeah, every third movie.
No horses.
Every second movie.
Yeah, they all have horses. They all have Sulla.
They all have
Nazis.
They all have Nazis.
That's the key. Sulla, horses, and Nazis. They make up the good ones.
Quite literally, the other two do not have either of them.
No.
Actually, no. Is he on a horse in the second one when they leave the village?
I don't know. I don't think so. They're on elephants.
Elephants.
They're on elephants going there, and I think they just walk back. I don't think there's any horses in Temple. No,
what about the guys who come at the end, the reinforcements?
I don't think so.
Are they on horseback?
I don't think so.
I don't think there's any Crystal Skull either.
Crystal Skull's the motorbike.
I don't think so. Anyway.
No, I want to sit in silence and think about the horses.
Horses. We move on to Tangier, and Indy gets on the plane here, he's drinking his scotch, and they didn't do the plane thing. And I'm like, oh no, where's the plane thing?
It's because they did the other 2 times. So.
They do it 2 times. Also in the beginning, they didn't have the opening credits at the beginning. It wasn't like Harrison Ford in.
I noticed that. I actually like how they kept those credits for the end. I think we were talking about the other day.
Yeah.
Because being the final film, I kind of like how we get those as the final thing and the thing with the big Indiana Jones Raiders march. It felt like a finale rather than just regular scrolling credits over
Yeah. I would have liked the credits at the beginning, I think. And also they didn't have the dates, like 1944.
I noticed
Germany.
that. I don't
know why, because all the other ones do. And that always seems to be a moment that my brain like focuses on and thinks about.
Did they have in Crystal Skull?
Yeah, it does say.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So yeah, and they didn't have the dates here. And time is a massive theme, and also we jump like 30 odd years. So it was weird that they didn't have the times here or the map sequence, but then they had map sequence later on. This isn't a really fan servicey movie that like does all the tropes and has a short round cameo and like it's all the beats. Yeah. It was its own like individual story for the most part, with some ties in the Raiders and some ties in the Crystal Skull.
There are actually a lot of nods and references to the old films.
It was kind of different though. It felt natural.
It's very subtle and kind of like woven in, where it's not like, hey guys, remember this bit from that movie? It's kind of like just a passing thing. Yeah. If you see it, you see. If you don't, you completely miss it.
But a lot of people are saying that about Salah, and but I think Salah's inclusion is kind of organic, like it kind of makes sense.
It's great because Indy brought his family over.
Yeah, I liked that. Yeah. I'm glad he didn't go along on the adventure. Like,
I kind of see
2 80-year-old men bumbling around an airport.
Even the bit where like John Rhys Davies like gets out of the cab and like runs to the front door. I was like, okay, he needs a walking frame.
Well, I think John Rhys Davies is even older than Harrison Ford.
I think he's like 81. Yeah. I think they're around the same age. But you know, people age differently. Harrison Ford is his own entity.
Oh, none of us are going to be Harrison Ford when we hit 80.
None of us are Harrison Ford at 80 now.
Yeah, he's more fit than I am now.
So yeah, I mean, Solid doesn't do anything. He doesn't add anything to the narrative. There's no real reason for him to be here. But I'm glad
it's just a nice moment to have.
Yeah, if I could choose to cut this out and throw it on the editing room floor, I would. And I mean, it's John Rhys Davies and it's Solid, and it's the last one. Why not?
And I mean, considering how close they obviously are in number 1 and 3 when you see them, it would make sense that he would stay in contact with arguably one of his best friends over.
And help him move to America.
Right, move his family over, and they would stay in contact if they're in the same city and everything.
John Rhys Davies seemed like Solid to me.
Yeah,
100%,
absolutely,
yeah, definitely,
yeah.
we go to Tangier, Indy puts on his outfit here, and I have to say, like, I love Indy's outfit. It's like the most iconic outfit ever, and half the time I feel like I'm not even like really listening to the movie or like taking in the story, but I'm just looking at his outfit. But is it weird and silly? And it is, and it's fine. And I just answer the question before I get to you guys. But he's wearing the same costume 40 years later.
I mean, that's just... Honestly, it's just a jacket and a hat. Like, there's not really...
And the pants.
Yeah.
And the bag. And the whip. And the shoes.
And the shirt.
And the shirt.
Okay, it's the whole fucking thing. But, like...
Sometimes he has a tie. Sometimes he doesn't.
The tie happens in Crusader, this one.
Yeah. I don't think the tie was the same. And I don't think the shirt or the pants were the same.
Well, he loses the tie halfway through.
He just,
Where's it got?
He ditches it.
He's like, no, I have 4 more at home.
He ditches it in Crusade too. But
Exactly, yeah. I think it's... He needs a uniform, he needs a costume, like this, it's so, like you said, it's so iconic.
It's cartoonish, but this is based on 1930s action-adventure serials, and it's cartoonish. He jumps out of a fucking plane in a lifeboat.
I think the thing is, like, through the New York chase when he's on the horseback, it's just Harrison Ford in a suit. It's like, yeah, okay, but then as soon as he's like, you know, going through Tangiers in his fucking
something
that's Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Like, she even says you look like 2 years younger, and there is something that happens there where like.
It's a visual connection to what we know the character to be.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay, it probably would have been more realistic what they did, but I wish that in Jurassic World Dominion, Alan Grant just wore his classic Alan Grant's clothing from Jurassic Park. Yeah.
The hat.
And then they don't do that. So like, I prefer what they did in Indiana Jones, where, okay, would he be wearing the exact same outfit 40 years later? But I don't care. We're there for the character that we remember.
Yeah.
And I think it works.
Yeah, we get the scene where Helena's trying to sell the dial, the little thing.
The auction.
Mads comes in, and then she has like a fiance that she's like betrayed, and she sells his ring, and then we get the tuk-tuk chase. I really like the tuk-tuk chase.
I loved it, and it led up to the tuk-tuk chase. That was great. Like that whole little kind of brawl in the hotel. I thought it was a lot of fun where the dial's going from Harrison to Helena, and then Teddy grabs and then bumps into Mads. Mads like, oh, thank you, and he walks away. That was great. That whole back and forth, and it's got a really fun kind of John Williams sort of like upbeat, fun little score going in the background.
Yeah, I've heard people say that the action sequences are like bland and boring.
I completely disagree.
I don't think that at all.
The tuk-tuk chase, it felt real and tangible, and I was excited and I was invested, and I think it's better than Harrison like swinging on a rope and like jumping from one tuk-tuk to the other.
He does jump from one tuk-tuk to another.
He does.
But and like so they all.
And it was CGI. It wasn't a stunt.
It was fun. It was fun, and I liked that. You know, like there's 2 different factions like coming after them, and there's that kind of like wildness about it. But I also really like the auction scene. I like the back and forth between Jürgen Voller and Indiana Jones. Like you should have stayed in New York. You should have stayed out of Poland. I think that was awesome. Like that was really fun. Like, that felt like Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
like,
and you stole it. Then I stole it. Then I stole it. I like that. That felt like classic. That felt like classic indie diary.
Everything, the diary changes back and forth from hands to hands. The arc changes back and forth.
Yeah.
The stones. Indy gets to them in the end. And the tuk-tuk chase, for me, it worked. And I think just old man, 80-year-old Harrison sitting down and driving a tuk-tuk, it's hard to swing around on ropes anymore. But he's still driving a tuk-tuk.
Yeah, it's good.
And he runs like an old man, He
does.
But it was fun.
After the prologue, the tuk-tuk chase is my favourite action scene in the film.
Yeah, it'll probably be mine as well. Oh no, wait, I already said.
You just said the New York was your favourite.
What kind of Mickey Mouse show you running here, mate?
Whatever you guys say, I just reflected that. I also agree with your statement. No,
Honestly, out of all the action scenes, as much as I love it, the New York horse chase is probably my least favourite.
Really?
For me, it's my least favourite.
Even though I still love it. But when I compare that to...
Wait, do we count the underwater thing as an action sequence?
No. Not really, no.
Okay, good. No, New York is my
really? Like at the prologue, the New York, the tuk-tuks, and then the time rip. Was there another one?
I think that was
I guess would you count like her chasing down the...
I class that as the time.
Yeah.
I class that as the...
It's all.
Yeah.
Yes, out of those 4, as awesome as it is, the New York one is definitely my least favourite.
That's fair. For me, it just feels the most real and natural. And I love Harrison on a horse for some reason.
There you go.
Harrison on a horse, it does it for me.
The tuk-tuk chase, like you know, the desert chase in Raiders is my favourite action. The tuk-tuk chase felt like that to me, like that kind of jumping from vehicle. Like that for me is classic Indiana Jones chase scene, where they're kind of like, they're never staying in the same vehicle, and they're kind of like, you know, Helena jumps into Mads, and then they jump from another one to another one, and then things get destroyed, and then they're onto a motorbike, and then I love that whole thing. Yeah,
that's fair. What do we think about Teddy? Who's he played by? Some kid? I wrote his name down.
Ethan Isidore.
I'll ding it up here. He deserves respect. I didn't hate him.
He was
I
fine.
didn't love him.
I was indifferent to him.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same about him as I do Helena Shaw. Like, he's not offensive or irritating. I don't hate him, but he doesn't have like an incredible amount of like charisma or character or interest that draws me in. They're just like good.
Out of all the new main characters, like not including like the CIA people or anything like that, but like the actual main ones along for the adventure, he's my least favourite of all the new characters, but I don't dislike him. Like he's fine. When I see him, I'm not like, oh, get off the screen or anything like that.
Yeah.
He's definitely my least favourite, but I feel like...
I mean, he's no short round.
He's definitely... He's definitely just there because they needed somebody to get them back through the time loop at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
They needed somebody who was a pilot.
Yeah.
And
they set up the flying thing. He kind of knows how to fly.
Talking to a pilot in the hotel.
Like paper thing.
It's fine. It's fine. Hey, it's fantasy. It's fantasy. It's fantasy.
He recognises the helicopter.
I don't know.
He's into aviation.
He can hotwire a plane.
He can fly a plane.
He can
there is a pilot in the plane, which is...
Sorry.
We'll get to the end, I guess, but... There's a pilot in the plane, which I thought was like how they were going to get through the fissure and then back. But he is just kind of like, hey, stole my plane! And then maybe he flies.
Oh, and I'm the racist one.
I don't even think he's Italian, but he's not Australian. That's all I know.
He lives in Sicily, so surely.
Maybe he is then.
I just don't think he's the stereotypical
It's a bowl of pasta.
He's dressed as Mario.
Hey, mama! What are you doing in my plane? And then plate of hot spaghetti steaming in the plane. Ready the parmesan in my plane. That's racist.
Well, if that's the biggest laugh of this review, then something's wrong with us.
Like terrible Italian racist.
Hey, mama!
So bad. After the tuk-tuk scene, we get Antonio Banderas. That wasn't racist.
You can't stop.
I'm just saying his name how you're supposed to say it. You say it.
Antonio Banderas. I don't want to.
Antonio Banderas.
What, are you going to get a fucking Zorro mask out and whip an A, B?
Castanets. Antonio Banderas.
I'm just going to say everyone's name in this film in a different accent.
It's a very globe-trotting film that explores a lot of different cultures and goes to places.
Which I love. But remember I said one of my complaints about Crystal Skull and also Temple of Doom is that they don't feel like an adventure, like
big and epic,
like number 1 and 3 did. This one brings back that location to location kind of epic feel.
Location. Show.
And it wasn't fast travel, and like they soaked an atmosphere. And
that show from the 90s, that house decorating show, the house hunting show. No,
up until now.
It exists, I'm sure. I think it was on Channel 9.
I remember it now.
I remember that.
Did it have Jamie Jury? I don't know. Something like Scott Cam.
No, he was like I don't know. Something else. Antonio Banderas is just kind of the ship captain, and he just kind of dies. He's like Wuhan. He's there, and then he gets shot, and then that's
He has more to do though than Wuhan.
He provides a boat. Wuhan provides
nothing. He shows up to get shot.
He doesn't even like kill anyone. Like he just he's like, I got you back. Oh, he's the most useless
and
character.
I'm dead.
I think the thing. I think.
And why didn't Indy talk about him in the Last Crusade?
Yeah, I wanted. He should have had a shrine in his house in this one. I think if I had to give a criticism about the movie, which I don't want to because I love the whole lot of it, but this sequence on the boat, I think is my least favourite of the film. I think this is where you start to kind of feel, okay, this is a 2-hour 20 movie.
Yeah.
That being said, I still liked it, and I liked having an underwater sequence because it's something we haven't really seen.
Yeah, I like that.
We haven't seen it in Indy, but I mean...
And it was quite a moment. I liked just the dialogue up in the boat. We get a really nice little scene between Helena and Indy.
We should talk about that.
Yeah, so that moment when she's like, you know, if you could go back in time, what would you do? And he's like, you know, I'd stop my son from enlisting. That scene, even for people who don't like Mike Williams, I don't see how you can watch that scene and not get emotional because it's of Harrison's delivery.
Yeah, I think Harrison did a really good job there. He was like genuinely moved.
And the writing was great.
And it was like the right level of emotion too. He didn't like break down, or like he didn't like even really cry, but it just, he delivered it perfectly.
I think that's a testament to how well that was acted, that, you know, we don't really give two fucks about Mark Williams.
No.
But the fact that the emotional beats worked.
That got me.
The emotional beats worked there. I think about a character we don't really care about.
Yeah, it's because we care about Indy. We care about how
it's
he's
like that
feeling,
just kind of worked. Harrison Ford knocked that part out of the park, I think. Yeah.
Also, Williams plays the Marion theme there, and it's just like,
oh, that, yeah.
it pulls on the heartstrings, nostalgia and all that jazz.
Not that he ever isn't, but John Williams was absolutely on fire in this movie. He's every single beat he needed to hit, every single little motif and everything that needed to be there at the right time. 100%. He was there. Because I love Crystal Skull, but I think out of all the indie soundtracks, that's my least favourite.
Yeah.
It's still got great themes and everything in it. But this one just absolutely spot on. I think it's one of Williams' best soundtracks in quite a long time.
Yeah, the man is 91 and he's obviously and like unarguably the greatest film composer of all time. And yeah, I think...
And his son's the guy from Toto.
Is he?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, the guy still, I think the singer of Toto, like in the bed, that's John Williams' son.
Is he?
Really?
I hope I'm not making this up. I'm sure. I'm 95.
That could be a thing.
Well, research and digging up here right now.
I think that's true.
John's right or wrong?
I think that's true. I think it's true.
Oh, no.
That just sounds like something so wild I wouldn't make that up.
Yeah, that does sound
Like,
rather specific.
Yeah, like I don't know where that came from.
That's kind of
know
crazy.
either.
Like, John Williams is my favourite composer, and Africa is probably my favourite 80s song. So his son...
If I'm completely wrong,
You're just an idiot.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Because where the fuck did that come from if I'm wrong?
Yeah, I think the eel scene, it doesn't compare to the snake scene. It's very dangerous, you go first. Going down into like that sequence. Or the bug scene is amazing when they're trying to pull Willy through hell as like this crazy like mechanized trap thing is gonna crush them. Or the rat scene when they're like in Venice and like the propane gets ignited and all explodes. Or even the ant scene where Indy's beating the shit out of a guy with a log.
There is animals in each one, you're right.
Yeah,
I didn't really notice that.
This one's eels, and the eels, I don't know, they just kind of come out and they're CGI, and Harrison's like,
I think this is my...
and then he's up the top.
I think this has made me realise something, like, I just really... Underwater action scenes don't really work for me.
No.
This is my issue with Thunderball. That last fucking half an hour was slog.
It's hilarious.
Like, put that on double time, like, fuck's sake, let's get through this.
It's hilarious.
Like,
and
that
amazing.
doesn't really work. Like, I wrote in my review when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it felt like they just found the technology to film underwater, so I thought, fuck it, let's do half an hour of this.
Yeah.
And that was true.
Yeah,
That's
true.
what they fucking, that's what happened.
Same thing with The Abyss, James Cameron's movie. The underwater's... Like,
That man just has a fascination with water, though.
he
He
does.
does.
He does. But it just... Yeah. Underwater scenes are true. I never thought of it until now.
They don't really do anything for me. Like they're the same. Like no one can speak really during them, unless it's like
It's hard
Aquaman
to
or
even
Fancy.
tell who like Indy
Who's
was.
who, yeah.
That was Indy, or that guy's Indy.
Everything feels like it's slow mo. Like it's like
I think that like the obstacles, especially if you're actually filming in water, which I'm not sure whether they did. Some shots definitely. They definitely were on a tank for some shots. But I think it's such like an obstacle to like us like moving and communicating and like creating film that it's lost. And I don't know, it's not much like you can't even talk. Like they're in a ship and they're looking for like a map to the second half of the Antikythera. And like Indy can't even do like his typical like Tomb Raider stuff where like he's solving puzzles and saying, oh, this is in reference to blah 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 blah.
I think where this scene works for me is when the Nazis show up and they cut one of the lines. And it, like spirals down.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, okay, now there's danger, like they gotta get up.
It's like
that's
ticking clock element.
But the rest is ticking again. 60 minutes tonight.
No, about 60 minutes. Harrison Ford at 80.
But I enjoyed the kind of twist on the snakes that, you know, it's eels and like they look like snakes. No, they don't.
That line was perfect.
Yeah. That was good.
They don't. It was just like, oh, it's Indy.
I like that. Yeah, there he is.
That's all Indy. He's 80 and he's not swinging on his whip, but he's cranky and he knows stuff about history and archaeology.
I think this is really the only scene where it kind of, like, the criticism for Helena taking over Indy is brought to the forefront is when she gets them out of that situation on the boat.
Yeah.
With the, you know, reading the map and with the dynamite. Because that's definitely something, like, I could see, like, Harrison Ford doing in, like, Crusade or Temple of Doom. Like, stalling for time and then lighting a fucking, like, you know, dynamite in his back pocket. Like, she did it. But I think it worked. I think it worked, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, other characters should get a moment where like they shine. It shouldn't just be old man.
I mean, they all do. Like Henry Senior and Short Round all get moments where they do stuff. Like so
absolutely, and she should too, and she does. I like the part where his best friend gets brutally shot and he tries to like get up and the big guy just like grabs it.
That for me, like even though like obviously we could see he was old Indiana Jones, like he's not the same guy. That for me was the first time I was like, wow, he really is just a frail old man. Like,
because it kind of happens at the start too, like when he finds the other professors dead in the university.
Yeah.
And then they go to come up behind and he goes to whack him, but then they just easily just put his arms down and overpower him. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, a sack over his head. It's like, okay, like that's
or in the parade, like he gets like a sign and he goes to whack the big guy.
And it does nothing.
And then the big guy swings and he just dodges and he just like
and he runs off scared.
Yeah. But it was great. I don't think we can see him in the boat beat the shit out of that guy.
Exactly.
I don't think that would work. The guy's like 9 feet
It wouldn't.
tall.
And if that did happen, we'd be like, well, that's not real. Like, it would feel weird, That's what I don't think a lot of people are getting about this. He's old, and the movie reflects that. And the themes of the movie reflect that.
It's kind of sad, but it's supposed to be kind of sad.
And the thing is, the movie as it is, people complain about it. If they flipped it and made it that he could do it,
that'd be worse.
People complain about it. So like, it's
sad or silly.
You can't win.
There was a lot of random deaths and like violence and people getting shot.
The body count's actually really big.
Yeah, it reminded me of Raiders a lot. A lot of like just randos get like brutally murdered.
Voller and his men shot they just shot people to get to their next.
Yeah, I've just seen it. I'm like, okay.
A lot more people getting shot than Crystal Skull.
Yeah, Crystal Skull felt kind of like sanitized and like cleaner, whereas this, like leaned more into like the random deaths of like Crusade and Raiders.
Yeah, like Toad in Raiders, he is ruthless. He's just killing wherever he goes.
I think killing the professors in the university really set the tone of like, oh fuck, okay, then no one's safe here.
Yeah, there's stakes, there's tension, there's suspense.
Yeah.
They get on the boat, they sail off, and then we get the tomb raiding sequence with Helena Shaw and Indy. And I've said in all these movies that these are like some of my favourite bits. And it doesn't matter here if Harrison isn't Action Man anymore, but he gets to like solve the problem, and he's climbing up the cliff, and he talks about like the bolts in his knee, and the plate in his other one.
Even just his muted answers like, "Are you alright?" Yes. It's funny because you get like. It's fun. Like I like that.
He's like, I drunk the blood of Kali. I've been shot 9 times. He gets shot at 10 times. It worked. He figures out the displacement of the water, which opens up the thing. We get to Archimedes.
That was cool.
Too.
I really liked that.
It all looked really nice. It all felt tonally indie, and Harrison Ford was on point, and Helena Shaw wasn't ruining it for me.
Yeah,
agree. Totally.
Just going back a bit. I really liked before Helena devised the whole plot to escape the boat. That whole scene when she's like uncoding the what's called the graphica, the graphicos, I think it's called.
Yeah.
When she's clearly toying with Mads and all them, but she's making it appear like she is helping them, but obviously she's devising some other plan.
Yeah.
I really like that whole scene where like that back and forth between Mads and then Boyd Holbrook and then Indy and. I
like how she goes to Claver and it's like and he's the one who doesn't know, and then she just says and he goes.
And I love when she pulls out like that felt very indie, like classic indie as well, when she subtly pulls out the dynamite, which isn't that subtle to begin with, but in all these movies, like the way they get it is never subtle to the audience, but like and she's like, I thought you were a bright spark. That felt really cool to me. Like I really enjoyed that whole kind of like back and forth.
That's fair. I enjoyed it, and she does have like charisma, and I did like her. I didn't love her, but I didn't hate her for sure. I liked her. We get the tomb raiding scene, it's great. Mads and his Nazis come in, they shoot Indy. The little kid, he gets to murder the tank. They set up that he can't swim, and then he's like handcuffed to the big guy, and he like drags him underwater and like handcuffs into a train.
I kind of wish that scene was a bit longer. Like, you know, they're underwater, he slips through the hole, Harry Houdini's it the fuck out of there and it's over.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of wish the stakes were a bit there. Like, I wish they were like dodging rocks and shit, or like hitting stuff on the way down.
Yeah.
And then the great kind of
couple like more shots of him like drowning and dying, maybe hanging there.
No, we don't need a graphic.
Oh, okay, maybe that's just me.
But yeah, I kind of wish that scene is so quick and he's like out really quickly.
I like that Indy didn't fight him. I mean, they could have devised a way where Indy outsmarted him and that would have been nice and clever, but it's also fine that the kid kills him.
I think it's fun how Indy always goes up against the big guy in all the films, and I was expecting him fully to go after this big guy in this film, which he didn't, which... Yeah, I was a little disappointed about, but yeah, we've talked about it. It wouldn't work. He couldn't beat that guy unless it was like Indy was just talking to him and he like stepped off a fucking balcony and fell to his hands, you know, like.
What if he just beats the shit out of an 80-year-old man for like 10 minutes?
Then I would have stood up and left the theatre.
That's fair. I think
Stop! He's already dead.
I think they did the best they could have done. Indy gets shot, and I do feel like at this point in the film, once he's shot, he's kind of physically sidelined. He's not emotionally sidelined. He goes through his whole like arc and like figures out. He finds something in the world when he gets back, but we'll get there. But he does like kind of become physically sidelined at this point. He gets shot, which I like. I like Indy getting hurt.
I think that's totally fair that he gets sidelined at this point. Like Indiana Jones is 70-year-old man getting shot. He's out. Like, you know, he's down.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, he's not doing much more.
Substance and consequences. If he just got shot and then he was fine, it's like, it doesn't mean anything.
Like, he got dragged to the van, like, he's just kind of slumped over for the whole thing.
Down.
Yeah, he's out. Like, there's no more to it.
He's still very present, though, vocally. Like, he's always...
Switched on, man.
Yeah, like when they're about to go through the time rep and he's like, I don't know where the hell you're going, but sure as hell in 1949 or 39.
That's a great delivery, and I love the delivery where he's kind of, like, laughing like a maniac. He's like, your calculations are wrong, and he's like kind of like, I don't know, a bit delirious.
Yeah.
That's a great delivery from Harrison Ford, I think, on that line.
Yeah, so then they're on the planes and they have the anti-Kythera and it's predicting the fissure in time, and Mads wants to go back to like 1944.
He's back in his Nazi.
They're all dressed up as Nazis, there's swastikas, which
I loved it.
Amazing.
It felt, again, like classic.
It felt like classic. Yeah. And they go through a fucking fissure in time. I liked the lead up to it. It felt suspenseful.
Awesome.
And
I love that part.
It felt like, intriguing and immersive. And like I was dragged into the film as much as any other point.
I was on the edge of my seat that entire time.
Yeah, I was like, what's going to happen?
Yeah,
where are they going to go?
Yeah, I didn't know where we're going to end up. Like, I was like, are we going to end up in 1939? Is this going to be somewhere completely different? Like,
are you going to like see young CGI Harrison Ford and fucking hang
I thought that's where we were going for a bit.
Yeah, but yeah, we end up in like Greece.
The Battle of Syracuse.
Yeah.
I think it was like 213 BC or something.
Yeah, which is fucking batshit fucking crazy, but I kind of like it.
Yeah. You really just got to go with this ending. Like, if you're not on board as soon as that happens, you're gonna dislike this.
The first time I watched it, I was kind of like, I don't know, but I've warmed to it, and I think like overall the movie is somewhat safe and somewhat grounded, which it kind of needed to be. But I like this batshit crazy moment where there's Nazis in a plane shooting at fucking Greek and Roman soldiers.
Again, Harrison's delivery. I love when they're actually through the time rip and they all realize where they are, and he's like, "This is the Battle of Syracuse. You've got the wrong war!"
Yeah. And then Mads is freaking out because like, I can't be stuck here.
I think
that's what I
kind of liked about it. Like, he's just got his head in his hands when he knows he's fucked.
And there's all this chaos.
He's yelling at the guy, he's like, he goes, "Stop going like this at one point." He's like, "No, no, no, no." And then the guy gets arrowed.
Yeah, and then they're like shooting down at them and they get speared and they're like, "It's a dragon, it's a dragon." Yeah. They cut into Archimedes who's like...
It really worked.
Yeah. That was one of the best action sequences.
It's apart from the prologue. This
If it is an
favorite.
action sequence, I guess it kind of is an action sequence.
I class that whole like kind of getting in the plane, going through the time fissure, and then like landing.
It's one long
on the
scene, yeah.
That's one massive action sequence.
It felt like fucking Lucas bringing up some batshit crazy idea to Spielberg.
Yeah.
Spielberg being like, all right, Lucas.
I mean, I've never had an issue with Indiana Jones movies going like
Too
crazy.
far.
Like I like the aliens, as we discussed last review. I like the aliens in Crystal Skull. The execution of it all, maybe not so much, but I like the idea of it.
Yeah.
And here, I thought the execution, as well as the idea, really fucking worked.
That's
really
fair.
worked.
That's fair.
And I'm a sucker for time travel at the best of times. So,
yeah.
like here,
Full Doctor Who.
Doctor Who, Back to the Future.
Yeah.
I just think, I'm glad. I like the whole movie's hinting that it can go through time. I'm glad they committed to it because
Yeah.
imagine this whole build up to time travel and then it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we're still in '69. Like I'm glad it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
I was the first time I saw it, I was slightly let down by the way they killed Voller, because like we were saying in the first 4 films, every Indy villain has quite a graphic and full-on death.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell are they going to do to Mads this time? And it's quite a simple death. It's just the plane crashes and then you see his burnt body afterwards.
Yeah.
But I really thought, crazy thought, this flashed through my head for like a split second. I thought, nah, that's fucking stupid. It was when, because at the beginning of the film, he gets absolutely smashed in the face by that water tower, in the prologue.
Yeah.
When he's like burnt on the ground, I thought, is he going to be a cyborg or something? And then I thought, no, that's silly. Where'd that come from? He was going to get up and start fucking rampaging.
Yeah.
I thought, nah, silly.
and tell you, the first time I saw it, I was like, where's that horror element? But then watching it again the other 2 times, I was like, okay, visually, there's no horror elements in that scene with Mads dying. But in the other films, like when the villains realize they've screwed up, that moment when they realize up to when they die, it's very quick.
Yeah, this one he's like really regretting it.
Here, the actual act of him dying isn't very graphic.
Yeah.
But him realizing how much he has screwed up is really prolonged, and you see him freaking out, I can't be here, gotta get me out, he said, the villain is he's just pulling back his hair, like, what have I done?
Yeah.
And then the look of horror when he knows the plane's about to crash and he's screwed, that's it, he's about to die in 2013 BC where he did not want to be. That it actually really works for me now.
Yeah, that's fair. I would have liked the classic Indies villain. I don't know, we already did the aging rapidly thing.
They could have had when the plane crashed, him just bursting through the windshield, just getting chopped up by the propellers.
Yeah, I mean, they could have done
It's some
something.
Roman soldier just walks and goes.
Yeah, I think it was missing some classic Indies gory villain, weird, something extravagant and interesting.
Blood's on the floor, and then Roman soldier's like, oh!
That classic Spielberg reaction shot. There were no classic Spielberg reaction shots. Not necessarily something gory, but something interesting and fascinating always happens with the villains. That even if it's not gory or bloody, which it always is, but it's interesting and it's different. We didn't get that. What do you think, Joe?
I agree with that, but I totally agree with you. I like his kind of dread, his whole thing was, I need to get back, I need to redo this, and now, he's fucked up. He's stuck, he realizes he's screwed. That's where the horror element comes from. You're totally right.
Yeah, and he's always so calm and in control the entire film. And then when he snaps, you're like, okay, that's it. He knows, 100%. He is not in control anymore. There's nothing he can do.
Yeah.
Apart from the plane going down, if the plane just crashed and he kind of stumbled out of it, I guess they could have done something there. He stumbled out of the plane.
Gets speared.
Yeah, I don't know.
Crushed,
I don't know. Yeah.
Melted with the light.
I was about to say, maybe the light melts him because Indy made a point to mention that at the university and stuff.
Yeah.
And then.
I feel if the light melting would have been too reminiscent of Raiders though.
Yeah, what?
I feel.
But they
I
could
feel
do
so.
something. They could do something.
But then again, we've already gone back in time, and now we're in Syracuse.
They're already batshit crazy.
It's do we want to get any more insane?
Yes.
But then I had another insane.
Yes.
I had another insane thought for a split second. I thought, no. I thought because when Indy's teaching at the start, and he's talking about Archimedes, he never shows Archimedes. I thought, is Indy going to go back in time and it turns out he's
That'd be
Archimedes.
amazing.
Like he takes the doll, he stays back there, and like it comes back to the present, and there's like a statue of Archimedes, and it's Indiana Jones. I literally thought that's how they were going to end the film. I thought
it has a shot of Indiana Jones like Archimedes is a Nazi, and then they zoom up on Mads and like Williams does some big like swelling crescendo. Dun, dun, dun.
No, I really thought the end shot of Indiana Jones was going to be. He was going to cut back to the universe. He was going to stay in Syracuse, like, and have the dial, and then it was going to cut back to like the fucking university, and someone was going to be teaching about Archimedes, and it was a picture of fucking Indiana Jones with the dial.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like, and there was going to be a statue or something.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
So Indy he flies out of the plane, he rolls.
That didn't happen.
It didn't
obviously.
happen. That was just me. If I wrote the film. Indy comes out of the plane, he sees Archimedes, and this whole movie has been lost and broken and drinking whiskey at 4 in the morning, at like 7 in the morning before his lecture, and he's broken, he's beaten, his son died in Vietnam, and he's like, I got nothing, I wanna stay here, and I was just like internally screaming, don't let him stay, don't let him die here. I was like, do not do this, do not do this.
I mean, if he had stayed there, he would have died. He was shot. He would have got sepsis.
Yeah.
Infection would have taken over. He would have been fucked.
Yeah, and he doesn't really come around. It's Helena who knocks him out.
I've never been so happy to have someone punch Indiana Jones.
Do you feel like that is a bit of an abrupt ending? Like, it's very jarring, and then all of a sudden, we're in the final scene of the film. But like,
I don't know how else I could have wrapped it up.
Neither do I. Like, what do we just show us piling his fucking limp body into the plane and then flying back through the fissure? No, I think it worked how they did it. Yeah.
And it transitioned the same way as the prologue did to the main part of the film. She punches him, it cuts to black, fades on the exact same window, the ticking clock again, and now instead of being in the armchair, he's in the bed.
Yeah, he wakes up. Does he have the Dial of Destiny here?
It's on the table.
Yeah, he actually gets the thing. He doesn't fucking lose it. The government doesn't take it off him.
I'm telling you, he's Archimedes. No, that doesn't make sense. That's a silly theory.
He wakes up, he has a little moment with Helena, and then fucking Marion walks in, and it's Karen Ellen, and she looks great, and she has spunk, and it's still her, but she's sad, and she's broken. And then they start doing the Raiders thing, and
Sala walks in first.
Sala walks in first.
And then walks out singing.
Oh, that was great. The British stars. And then, we get the Where's the Hurt scene.
Yeah, straight from Raiders, and Williams is playing the Marion theme from Raiders, and they're doing the Raiders thing. I don't know, you can't help but be moved.
It got me. Like, there was a few times in the movie where I could feel like the emotions rising. Obviously, like the entire prologue, even though there was nothing sad, just seeing that like kind of got to me.
Yeah.
But then obviously Indy talking about, like we were saying on the boat, talking about like Mutt being dead and everything, and then losing Marion, that started to get to me. But I kept it together for most of the time.
Yeah.
That scene started, I absolutely lost it.
It was like the perfect moment to pull from as well, and I never like. I remember back in high school, like asking Ashley to like kiss me here and like kiss me on the elbow, and it's fucking super embarrassing and super like cringy and awkward. But that scene does mean a lot to me, and they're just like.
Did she know what you were doing, or was
she did.
So it wasn't just like, who the fuck is this guy?
I didn't ask her to put her hair in buns or dress up in the Princess Leia fucking slave outfit.
Can you please dress like Salah, please?
Give me all Indiana Jones.
Give a bell, Alex Cable.
But that scene in Raiders, it means something to me, and like I guess cynically you could say. It's not an original moment which moves you, and they're just pulling a moment out of the past. But fucking who cares? They're pulling a moment out of the past. That's the last Indiana Jones movie.
Exactly.
Just let me have it, right?
That's when people are like, that's so unoriginal. I'm like, well, this is the very last time we're ever going to see Indiana Jones on the big screen. Let's have a moment that calls back to the beginning of the whole thing.
Let's have some CGI face replacements. Let's have Sulla have a pointless cab driving cameo. Let's harken back to Raiders.
Yes. While definitely being, like I said, it definitely does work as its own adventure.
Absolutely.
The whole thing also feels like James Mangold's just love letter to Spielberg at his prime, making Raiders, Temple, and Last Crusade.
Yeah.
Because you can definitely feel the attention to detail to try and replicate you're never going to be Spielberg.
Yeah.
But you can definitely feel Mangold's intention to really try and get as close to that Spielberg feel as possible.
Yeah.
And you can definitely feel Mangold's it's been inspired by those films.
Yeah.
And his adoration for those films. You can definitely see him
at the
directing
same
as a
time,
fan.
also like doing something different and adjacent to them and putting the character in a place he's never been before, taking him in a direction he's never been before and doing something new with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, are we in conclusion? I should probably go over my notes and see.
Just
if there's
quickly
anything
run
else
through. Did we? Sure. Have we ever missed anything?
Let me see.
Ticking clock will be happening right now. I'm imagining it. Oh, there it is! The film is starting again! Let's grab a quick water.
I've been grabbing water all review.
Review? What? I got a quick
All review.
I'll review. I've been grabbing a quick water. Should laugh if I'm about to drink some water. Don't want to ruin the review. Or review. It's a quick water or review. No, we've derailed it now.
I don't know why it came out like that.
I don't know why either. That's why I'm laughing. I've never heard someone say the word review like 2 words before.
All review.
Where's my spittle bucket?
Did we miss anything?
I have a couple things. I think the movie, as far as cinematography goes and as far as lighting goes, I think it looked far more like the original trilogy than Crystal Skull. Crystal Skull was like hyper bright and hyper like, I don't know, like digital and sanitized and weird. We couldn't quite put our finger on.
I think we spoke about it last week.
We did. We couldn't quite like figure out what was wrong with it, but like the brightness and the contrast.
It looks glossy.
Yeah.
I think we said last week.
Whereas this was a lot darker and
It brings
grittier.
back, I was about to say the grittiness and
Definitely is more akin to Raiders and Temple especially.
It's funny that out of the 2 post-trilogy films, it's James Mangold, not Steven Spielberg, that was able to replicate that better.
The look of the film?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, Dial of Destiny definitely feels like...
But then, as we've said, Spielberg, you can see I don't think his heart was ever fully into Crystal Skull.
I like this more than Crystal Skull, but there are moments in Crystal Skull, like the bike chase and it all being practical, and there's certain like shots and angles and like just communicating the language of film that Spielberg does that Mangold isn't able to do.
Yeah.
Which is completely understandable.
This is a better film than Crystal Skull, 100%. But yeah, you're 100% right. If Spielberg had directed Dial of Destiny, would it be the same film it is?
No, he would have had like vast. This is like Mangold's story.
Yeah, and
this is Mangold's like vision. This is Mangold.
Yeah, he's always been a not dark as in like gloomy or anything, but he's always been a more downbeat in terms of like storytelling director.
Logan made my daughter cry.
Walk the Line, all those they're all much more grittier and sort of more melancholy. Spielberg's much more about wonder and stuff like that. So I think this would have been a vastly different film if Spielberg had done it.
How do we feel about the let's just say non-inclusion of Spielberg and Lucas? Because like Spielberg was executive producer, and I've read things about him being in the editing room and like Mangold asking him questions and stuff. But it wasn't a Spielberg film.
It's not directed
and it wasn't a Lucas film. How do we feel about?
It does feel wrong that Spielberg didn't just finish it off. He should have. It felt like he should have just capped the trilogy off.
Yeah.
Sorry, the series. The series off.
Yeah.
It's a bummer that Spielberg didn't do it, especially because Williams and Harrison and everyone's back.
Yeah.
I would have liked some batshit crazy idea by George Lucas that everyone hated.
Yeah. We got that, kind
Crystal
of.
Skull, yeah.
But I mean,
we didn't want another Crystal Skull.
We had time travel though, I think when done right, these crazy out there stories work. I read The Fate of Atlantis recently, or this week actually, and that's insane. But it still works as an Indiana Jones. He's going looking for the fucking lost city of Atlantis, and it works. If that was a movie, that'd be cool.
Same thing. I played. I think it was on Nintendo Wii. They released Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings, which is about him going after Moses' staff that with the Red Sea and everything. That was awesome. If that was a film, I'd love it.
Yeah.
And again, like there's literally the climax of the game is a big chase scene where they've separated the sea and they're gonna chase like along like the seabed as the ocean is like parting, and it looks awesome.
That's pretty cool.
So I don't think it's anything to do with like how far you go.
Yeah.
Like Josh, it's execution.
Yeah, it just felt like a little bit bland, but maybe that's because of Harrison's age and like they can't do something extravagant.
Yeah.
Lucas wouldn't have done this. He would have like had some weird crazy idea
Lucas
about
would be like, Voller's an alien. The Men in Black come into it.
And they're in Antarctica and the Nazis are back.
And Cthulhu's in it.
I miss Lucas and I definitely miss Spielberg. It doesn't have that Spielbergian magic. But even Spielberg and Lucas in Crystal Skull weren't able to really capture the magic in the bottle of the original trilogy.
I think
so it's like we were saying like James Mangold couldn't recapture it, but even Spielberg and Lucas
and Mangold did a better job.
Recapture. It was a better movie. I think maybe Crystal Skull in places recaptured the Indy magic more, perhaps, maybe? Not towards the second end. That just fell off the cliff. But yeah, where do you guys rank all the Indy films?
I have a ranking.
I have a ranking too. Sorry, just to answer your question, obviously Spielberg's my favourite director. Indiana Jones is my second favourite series after the Jurassic Park series. So obviously I would have loved Spielberg to be in the director's chair. And sitting through the entire 2.5 hours and then having James Mangold coming up at the end did feel weird. But like we just said, Crystal Skull missed the mark as well. Mangold did a better job out of the two.
It was a better movie.
So I'm like, in the end, it's a great film. So would I love for it to be a Spielberg film? Absolutely. But it's still a great film nonetheless.
That's fair.
The ranking for me, you ready? The Last Crusade, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Dial of Destiny, Temple of Doom, Crystal Skull.
My rankings: Last Crusade, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Dial of Destiny, Temple of Doom, Kingdom of Crystal Skull.
Same order, isn't it?
It is.
Could have just said. Could have saved us 20 seconds. But the suspense was there. The suspense was there.
It's all about the suspense.
I'm stirring.
We're making a movie.
I'm stirring.
This is the art of cinema.
We're sitting in a fucking garage with blankets hanging up with fucking desk lamps lighting us. Raiders.
No. I can't.
Raiders for me is unbeatable. It just the finesse and the way it was executed and the detail it's unreachable for anything ever, I think.
He chose poorly.
Then Last Crusade, Sean Connery's amazing. And then Temple of Doom for me. Temple for Doom. And then Dial of Destiny, and then Crystal Skull.
I think that will be a popular ranking. I think your ranking there is pretty much the consensus.
I don't think there was a scene in this movie that was better than them dragging Willy through the bugs with the claws coming down.
Sure.
I don't think there was an emotional beat that was more than I love you, Willy. And I'm sorry, Shaw around and in the hats. I mean, the emotional scene in this was just because Raiders existed, like that.
Fully.
And it's directed by Spielberg.
Yeah, fully. I totally get that. This one just worked for me.
That's fair.
I think nothing's gonna beat those first three. I mean, it sounds hypocritical because I just put Dial of Destiny above Temple of Doom. But like
it is.
But that's like a holy trinity of like this perfect moment of like
as a trilogy.
Yeah, like that's fucking amazing. Like what a great 3 back-to-back films.
Yeah. So I think in conclusion, James Mangold is a good director. This is a good film. I fucking loved it. I think it capped off the series well. I'm gonna watch it a million times. It didn't recapture the Spielbergian magic of the original trilogy, but even Spielberg and Lucas couldn't recapture that in 2008. There's certain like errors and moments and people that are just able to do stuff that's incredible and just resonates through like society and people more so than anything else. Like I don't think it's gonna get better than the Beatles, and I don't think it's gonna get better than the original Indiana Jones trilogy. This movie was great, it looked fine. I would have preferred more practical stuff and less digital stuff, but I loved it.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
Well said. I agree. I agree.
Like for me, like Raiders and Last Crusade are perfect films. Throw in the nostalgia, nothing will ever beat those ones. No matter how great Indiana Jones eventually come up with, those two can't be beaten. Temple of Doom, I have a lot of nostalgia for it as well, but it's not a perfect film. It has flaws.
That's fair.
Dial of Destiny, Crystal Skull is arguably the worst one.
Yeah.
Dial of Destiny.
It is the worst one.
It is the worst one.
There's no argument about it.
Dial of Destiny.
Shire on fucking rope.
Dial of Destiny, it doesn't have the nostalgia element attached to it, apart from obviously there are callbacks to our nostalgia. But the film as a whole, I think the story, the tone, the feel of it, it recaptures what Raiders and Last Crusade did that Temple didn't do. Which is why Dial beats our Temple for me. And yeah, it's a great film.
Agree with both. I don't really have anything else to add. They fucking said everything. It's great. It's awesome. I loved it. I want to watch it a lot more as well. I can't wait to own it on Blu-ray.
Oh my gosh. Entering into this was like I've made I don't know, almost 300 videos, I think, almost 400 videos, I think, and I reviewed a lot of stuff. And when I first sat down with a notepad and Raiders, it was really hard and it was really challenging until the movie started, and I just started fucking writing, and there was a note about every moment of every shot in the opening thing. And I just want to say thank you to you guys for being part of this. And I've reviewed a lot of stuff, but this is delved back into something that has meant more to me than anything maybe other than the original Star Wars trilogy. And it was hard, and it was difficult, and it was challenging, but it was rewarding, and I loved it. And I think we did a good job at giving our opinions on these films.
It was fun. I mean, I wasn't here for the Raiders one, so just imagine I was there.
There was scheduling conflicts.
You were here in spirit.
I was at work, I think.
Which was just as fun.
Hey. No, I loved it, and please, I'd come back for more.
Yeah, we should review more stuff.
If you never see me again, he didn't want me here. Unless some lady walks in with a bouquet of flowers and gives us away, we're like, oh.
Pop the cork. I could get my beer and champagne and all over. Do you want that?
It's the camera got it didn't record.
We fucked the camera.
This was the last time we're ever going to review a new Indiana Jones Harrison Ford.
Is there anything anyone else wants to say about Indy in general, the franchise?
I mean, we've got 22 young Indiana Jones films.
Alright, cue them up.
I mean, they're not great.
I will say,
but I am going to rewatch them again, so if you guys do actually want to watch them and then talk about them as a whole,
maybe
we could do that. Although it is episode so it used to be 28.
We could review them as a whole.
Have you seen them?
I've seen a couple of them here and there over the years.
So it's called the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. That 28 episodes. That was then re-edited into 22 TV movies. So they're classed as movies now, which is what I have on DVD.
Right.
Some of them fine, some of them are horse shit, but it's fun. It's Indiana Jones. It doesn't. Some of them don't feel like Indiana Jones. Most of them don't feel like Indiana Jones.
I'd be keen. We could review them in chunks, 4 or 5 at a time. But,
that is definitely
I think
possible.
But yes, thank you. Just to cut your phone while still doing this. Thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Thank you for being here, and I don't think I could have done it with anyone else.
Oh, cool.
My jaded, cynical friends would be like, whatever. He's too old.
I like talking movies with you guys because, while we appreciate, how movies are put together and everything like that, and, good stories and good cinematography, good directing, all the pretentious stuff, we also rate them and review them as fans and as just people who just enjoy the thrill ride of a movie. We don't, movie like Indiana Jones or ones like that, whether it's Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, whatever, the movies are just escapism.
Yeah.
And you don't need to dissect them into art or anything like that.
Dissect.
Name of the channel.
But yeah, no pun intended, literally. But yeah, it was fun.
Indy. It's amazing.
Dial of Destiny was a bittersweet moment. I think when the last 5 minutes was happening, I was like, this is it.
I'm glad I'm thoroughly...
I mean, the last 5 minutes I'm ever going to see of new Harrison Ford Indiana Jones.
I feel like you've got to say a final line. But you had 4 fucking times, and we've just kept talking, and you've gone,
I don't want it to end!
I know that I have to edit this, is all. And it's still rolling. And I don't know how long my SD cards will last. What's the time?
Alright, wrap it up, Alex. This is your time.
In conclusion, the Indiana Jones movies were incredibly impactful and fundamental for me as a child and inspired me to get into film and love film. And they brought out a fourth one and it wasn't as good, but that's fine. And then brought out a fifth one and it was pretty good and that's fine. And I loved them and thanks for being here and it was great.
I'm gonna go cry.
Thank you.
It's not doing well at the box office though. I don't think I got 150.
Let's not end on that. Let's not end on that.
It's a great movie.
Go see
5
it.
stars.
Go see it. Go see it. Please, for fuck's sake, go see it.
The budget was $295 million.
They're not eating tonight.